Québécois chef Hugues Dufour was recognized this week by the New York Times as number 50 on the list of New York City's best 100 restaurants. The restaurant, named M. Wells, is owned and operated by Saguenay native Hugues Dufour and his wife, Sarah O'Bradis. Dufour is also the first Québécois chef to be recognized with a Michelin star. What a great opportunity to call up Hugues Dufour. He joins me on the line now from Long Island City. Hi, Hugues.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Especially on a Friday evening at 4:40.
Yes, it's a little hectic. Yeah, specifically after this. Yeah.
Congratulations, first off. What does a recognition like this represent to you?
I mean, I have to say after 10 years, because I got first reviewed like 10 years ago. It is like, and especially these days, it feels like we have to reaffirm ourselves over and over again in a place like Long Island City that's always, that's ever changing. And it feels like it's been gentrified 3 times already. You have to reach out to a new audience over and over again, and like just to be reaffirmed like that after 10 years, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it comes atop the Michelin star that you received for your establishment in 2015. I think you mentioned it. It's kind of a saturated market. You hinted a little bit to that. Saturated market like New York City. What do these recognitions represent for a restaurateur like yourself?
Oh, I mean, of course, the Michelin and the New York Times, we're thinking about like two very different recognitions, different sensibility as well. The Michelin, even if it's now this part of the Michelin is based in New York, is based in the USA, has different sensibilities. So different people they're trying to reach for sure. But the New York Times, I think it's something that's very dear, very special. Because it is very New York, and it speaks directly to our people.
Mm-hmm. Is that who the audience you're trying to target? You're trying to reaffirm yourself to?
No, of course, because I live in Long Island City. I live in New York. It's great to be able to reach out, but I think like you start by reaching your own neighborhood, and then you export yourself, and you reach like even at the international and stuff, but you need to be grounded in your own neighborhood, and it's very important.
Mm-hmm. I want to quote here what Pete Wells mentioned in his New York Times recognition. He says, and I quote here, "What a surrealist steakhouse when." What was a surrealist steakhouse when Hugues Dufour and Sarah O'Bradis opened has evolved into a cracked Québécois bistro. Now, for our listeners who've not dined in your establishment, how would you describe your cracked Québécois bistro?
Yeah, this is the bane of my existence. How do I define myself? I still try to find out. I think I refuse to be defined. That's probably this. And even if I think I'm like putting the finger on something, and I understand, I'm always a little way out. I was like that at the diner. The steakhouse was not really a steakhouse. I think I'm trying to stay as free as I can, and with my cooking, with my ideas. I don't want to fall too easily into category for people to be able to cut you out of your zone and stuff like that. So I'm trying to be surprising, comforting but surprising, and yeah.
Yeah, and even though you do not want to define yourself and you want to keep that creative freedom, you also have a very long tradition of making, for example, tourtières every year. You put together a sugar shack that is currently happening in New York City. You have a very Québécois signature. What does a recognition like this mean for Quebec's cuisine at large?
I mean, of course, it's nice just to see Québécois, as the title, as like the type of restaurant defined as Québécois, and not like French Canadian or whatever it could be, or Canadian or something else. I mean, it's dear to me. It's important. I don't think like we've seen that many times, especially not coming from the New York Times. But it is nice, and of course. I'm from Quebec. I'm proud of it. It's a part of what we do. but it's definitely not only this.
No.
Sometimes it's easier for people to say to identify me as a Québécois and stuff, but like it's so much more than that, you know. And I use also people that work with me, their background, what they do, what they bring. I think it's a little bit more universal this way. And in Queens with all the diversity and stuff, it makes more sense to me than yeah. But still, I'm very proud, and it's me. I cannot take yeah.
Yeah, and you have a wonderful team of people working with you. As I mentioned, your wife is there, has been alongside you and your team for all these years, a little bit more than 10 years now. Out of curiosity, have you taken the time to look at the restaurants that you share the 100 best list with?
Yeah, of course, because there's a lot of like MWell's alum that made it to the list and stuff. It's here to me to see also that like my kids made it somehow. They're different level, different things, and you want to see a little bit. I mean, not to see where you stand in the list because it doesn't really matter to me. It was more important to make it. It's nice. I think number 50 means so much.
Yeah,
that's a number you remember, right? More than even 44 for whatever reason, for number reason. Um, and yes, I don't know. I got maybe I got carried away. I don't remember the question. Yeah.
That's fine. You're talking about diversity. We're talking about the fact that you're making this number 50 on this 100 list of best restaurants in New York City by the New York Times. And I think, isn't it beautiful to see Québécois cuisine next to Vietnamese cuisine, to Japanese cuisine, to Cambodian cuisine? And how do you feel about that? That Quebec is finally being recognized as a gastronomy on its own.
Yeah, no. This is beautiful, and it's not only because of me. I mean, as you people probably know, I worked at Au Pied de Cochon for almost 10 years, and that was a little bit like without establishing it as is, but it was a little bit the mission of giving these lettre de noblesse to the Québécois cuisine as and people like Normand Laprise and the Joe Beef, I think it's just it's nice. It's nice to see it in a paper like the New York Times. Yeah.
It's a hard work
yeah, I can only be humbled by it. I'm proud, but I haven't done it alone.
Obviously, we can fully understand that. There's a brigade that, for lack of a better word, working along with you.
And there were people before me that made it also made it so I could export myself and do it.
Hugues, what can we wish you for the next 10 years? You've been in the business for a little bit more than 10 years in New York City. You're now being recognized by these wonderful recognition. What do you hope happens for you and your cuisine for the next 10 years?
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm thinking about the posterity. It's been 10 years. I'd like to be, I'm an old nostalgic. I feel like I'd like to be here I'd like not to be forgotten. Probably this. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Maybe, more butts in the seats in 2023 and more money. Why not?
Why not? With this will certainly help. Hugues, merci beaucoup. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us, especially just before supper hour. We really appreciate it.
All right. You're so welcome.
Merci,
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
That's Hugues Dufour. He's the chef and co-owner of MWell's Restaurant in New York City, in Long Island City. His restaurant made it this week on the New York Times Best 100 Restaurants of New York City. Quand même, number 50 for more if you want to find out what his cuisine is all about and maybe put your butts in one of his seats, as he mentioned, magasinwells.com.